Yo, what's up, y'all? It's the MMA Analyst. I'm doing an impromptu video here. Basically, I gotta get a few things off my chest. I said I wouldn't talk about it. I haven't been responding at all to any questions about Fedor. But there's a few other things that happened, so I'm gonna call this video Fedor's Lucky Punch, GSP's Grease, maybe GSP's Greasy back, and the heavyweight division. So here we go. I want you guys to please, everybody who questions this knockout over Arlovski, go and compile a highlight reel of all knockouts on people attempting flying knees. Bring the videos back and see how many videos we have. The reality of the fact is, when people throw flying knees, the people that are having the flying knee come at them, they don't strike. They shell up or they move. Because a flying knee is something where the guy feels like, I've got distance, the guy's hurt. You don't try a flying knee on somebody who you don't think is hurt. So when you throw a flying knee, it's kind of like the setup to the put away or the put away itself. When Andrei Arlovski went for the flying knee, he didn't do it because he thought Fedor Emelianenko was going to throw a punch. I was watching the fight. When Fedor Emelianenko had the knee coming at him, I thought the fight was almost near to the end. When he got push kicked into the ropes, I was like, oh damn. You know, when Arlovski came in with that knee, I have flashbacks of Ben Rothwell, flashbacks of all the other flying knees that have at least ended or began the end of a fight. When he threw that flying knee, nobody thought that the result would be Arlovski unconscious. It wasn't, yes, it was a bad decision from Arlovski in hindsight. But when the time came, when it was like, I think Fedor's hurt, he's up against the ropes, his offense is zero. When you get somebody up against the ropes, anybody who's sparred, anybody who's fought, when you push somebody up against the ropes, you come in with the flying knee. That's the way it goes. You come in with the strike because they're cornered, they're in trouble, and that's when you attack. So Fedor was in a situation where most people either shell up or they get out of the way, but they don't throw punches. The fact that Fedor Emelianenko tried a punch and landed the punch and the punch knocked him out are so far from luck that the fact that luck is being brought up is mind-boggling to me. It's not luck. It's impossible for it to be luck. If Fedor threw an overhand right in the middle of just swinging, flailing arms, you know, like Stephan Bonner, Forrest Griffin, and you know, they just and a punch lands, you know, it's still not luck, but at least there's an argument for luck. You know what I mean? But the fact is, even in that situation, they practice, they fight. You know, overhand rights are thrown with the head down. You don't throw an overhand right up looking up. You're down, and you throw it, and you go to where the head. You put your arm, your fist where the head should be. You shell up, and you throw the. Doesn't even matter. This is a situation where people don't knock people out. People don't knock people out when a flying knee is coming at them. It happens on the lower level of skilled fighters. Maybe, you know, Jimmy versus Joey in some smaller league. Both guys are like 4-4. Jimmy goes in for a stupid flying knee and Joey knocks him out. You know, but it doesn't happen with top 10 heavyweights. Go, you know, top 10 lightweights, top 10 welterweights. It's like Sean Shirk is an amazing fighter. When BJ Penn throws a flying knee against the cage, it's not because it's a bad idea. That's what you do. I'm done with it. There's a little bit of frustration, as you can see. I've seen a lot of people talking about Fedor got lucky. A lot of people talking about Andrei Arlovski was winning the fight. Yeah, he was winning the fight. You know what I mean? But after I'm watching the fight more and more, it's like, you got to watch close. Fedor gets He gets pushed off the ropes, and as he's coming out, he's looking dead at Arlovsky. I don't even really think he's hurt. I think he's playing possum. He gets pushed off the ropes. He's all stumbly. He's looking face first like there comes Arlovsky. His right hand balls up into a fist, and he takes a step forward and throws a punch at the dude's face. Where is the luck? And again, it's during a time where Arlovsky is in advantage. Arlovsky has the advantage. Fedor is in a corner, back against the ropes, with an aggressive striker attempting a very dangerous strike. Where is the luck? And one last question regarding Fedor. What would it take to convince those who don't believe that he's the pound-for-pound greatest or the best heavyweight of all time? They're not the same, so not or. Let's say and. What would it take? Does he have to fight Brock Lesnar? Is beating Brock Lesnar what it takes to solidify the placement of Fedor Emelianenko in the history books? The Pride heavyweight champion, the Rings champion, defeated 5 UFC heavyweight champions, undefeated basically since the year 2000. Does he have to beat Brock Lesnar? Is that what makes him the greatest? Beating Brock Lesnar? Would that bring it over the edge? It surely can't be beating Randy Couture, you know. If Dana White is going to say all of his other heavyweights were bums when Fedor beats them, what's he going to say about Randy Couture, who has 9 losses and, you know, only 16 wins comparatively? What will it take? I need to know. Does he have to beat Brock Lesnar, who is, you know, has less fights than Fedor has armbar wins? Does he have to beat Frank Mir, who just recently looked great again? Does he have to beat Gabriel Gonzago or Shane Carwin or Cain Velasquez? Guys who would, you know, would ask Fedor for his autograph and bow down if they met him because they recognize, you know what I mean? When every fighter you ask, from BJ Penn to George St. Pierre to Shogun to all these different guys, you say who's, you know, yeah, Joe Rogan, any commentator, anybody who's been in the game, if you ask anybody basically other than Chuck Liddell or Dana White who the greatest fighter is and who the best pound-for-pound fighter is, they all say Fedor Emelianenko. Oh, sorry, also add Brock Lesnar and Frank Mir. What does it take for the average fan out there like myself? That's what we all are. We're just average fans. I just have this channel. What does it take for Fedor to become, you know, that guy? Let me know. I'm really interested. George St. Pierre's Greasy back. I'll put it like this. It doesn't look good. You know what I mean? If I say my plan is to kill Billy, and then the cops go, hold on, man, he's trying to kill Billy, and they stop me before, do I get off because I didn't actually kill Billy? No, it's called attempted murder. You get charged and you get put in jail for it. I'm a big GSP fan. I think he has tons of talent. I even think there may have been a mix-up. Greg Jackson says that something along the lines of every fight, and I've seen it in the other fights, they like push on the front of the chest and they rub the back. And there's no grease on the hands. There's no Vaseline. It's just pushing and rubbing, and it's supposed to do something, I don't know, spiritually or something with chi or whatever it is. Calms them down. I don't know what it is. It's never been done to me. I can't tell you for a fact that it works, but I know that I see it in all of their fights basically. Guys in the corner, rubbing his back, pushing on his chest. In this fight, suppose the guy, you know, had used, put the Vaseline on the eyebrows, put the Vaseline on the wherever, forehead, and then went to do that. The Vaseline may have still been on his hand. Did that affect the fight? No, not at all. Does it change the fact that it was done? No. Does it, you know, if that wouldn't have happened, would George St. Pierre have been submitted by BJ Penn? Probably not. Would BJ Penn been more successful with trying the high guard if there wasn't even a slightest bit of grease on his back? We don't know. Does George St. Pierre look better because of this altercation? No. Does BJ Penn have the right to be upset because somebody who had Vaseline on their hands went directly from forehead to back? Absolutely. Does he have the right to want to complain and file a complaint? Absolutely. Will anything be done about it? I don't think so. Was it cheating? I think it was a severe lapse in judgment, something that shouldn't happen at this level, something that the cornerman should be maybe fined for, something should be done. It shouldn't result in like a no contest or something like that. It shouldn't be result in a disqualification. It shouldn't result in people being upset with BJ Penn's corner for being upset that somebody would, you know what I mean? Like, if you know what I mean? Like, you know what you're doing out there. You know that there's grease on your hands. Don't go and rub the guy's back. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like making a mistake as, you know, I was doing A and, you know, I was working with, you know, deadly chemicals. And then I went to make somebody a sandwich and it got on the sandwich. But it's all good because somebody was like, yo, man, you were just playing with deadly chemicals. Don't feed them the sandwich. Well, no, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? You're still an idiot. So that's that. Now we finally got Dana White talking about Arlovsky. Somebody finally said, Dana, Fedor, you seen the fight? Dana said he didn't see the fight. He said he swears to God he didn't see the fight. I'm not going to call dude a liar, but I am going to say that he lies a lot. A whole lot. Or at least he's in denial about a lot of things. What happened when Tim Sylvia lost? All of a sudden, Tim Sylvia is a bum. He was the boringest, most ridiculous, boring bum of all time. He was the worst. You know, Tim Sylvia is the worst. That's, you know, Dana White after Tim Sylvia loses to Fedor. Now, Arlovsky loses to Fedor. And now, well, Arlovsky lost to Tim Sylvia. Well, wait a sec. You know what I mean? What does this mean? Like, if you say Arlovsky, you lost to Tim Sylvia, and Tim Sylvia is a bum, and every other fighter that Fedor defeats wasn't that good, but all these guys were your champions, what are you saying? Like, the problem I have is that the people who just blindly follow don't recognize this. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like dating a girl, and then you broke up with that girl, and you're like, well, she was ugly anyways. And then you date another girl, and then you break up with that girl, and you're like, well, she was a slut. And then you date another girl, and you date that girl, and you're like, well, she had HIV. It's like, well, wait a sec, dude. If you're dating all these girls, and then as soon as you break up with them, you're like, oh, she's ugly, that one was a slut, that one has diseases. Well, what does that mean about you? So what? You've got, you know, Fedor Emelianenko. He's not that good a fighter. He recently, I think, he said that he was a top 5 heavyweight. But in the past, he was like, he's not that good. He needs to come and fight in the UFC. So Tim Sylvia. So he's not a good fighter anymore. He was your 2-time champion. You know what I mean? Randy Couture is the only guy he hasn't dogged yet. And I don't know. I guess I don't know. Like, people got to use their brains, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's out of control. Last thing I'll bring up is Machida getting the title shot. Machida's not getting the title shot. I don't like saying I told you so, but damn, I told you so. It was obvious. The UFC, as much as I love the UFC, as much as I watch every single UFC, the UFC is not yet the sport of MMA, and it never will be. MMA is a sport. UFC is an organization where they're trying to make money for the shareholders. The shareholders are Dana White, the Machida brothers, and then, you know, then you've got some big fighters who make them lots of money, so they make millions of dollars, like Chuck Liddell and now Brock Lesnar. But pretty much, you know, other than that, other than the fact that these guys are actually fighting each other and there aren't predetermined outcomes, other than that, that's about the sport right there. That's the sport. The sport of mixed martial arts in the UFC is that it's real. Everything else is sports entertainment. It's frustrating for me to say it. I've recognized it for a long time. That's just the way it is. Do I believe? I'm going to go even further because I said this yesterday in a message, and I would like to not believe it, but I have to believe it. Do I think Dana White cares at all about mixed martial arts? No, I don't. I don't think he gives a damn about mixed martial arts. I think he cares a whole lot. I think he cares more than anything else about the UFC, which happens to be a mixed martial art organization and one that he has worked a lot and done very well with, and one that he's put his time, effort, and life towards. I believe that he has done great amounts for MMA because the UFC is MMA. But he doesn't care actually about the growth of the sport of MMA unless it means more money for the UFC. Why does he want things to be, MMA to be legalized in New York? Not so that other people can put on MMA events, so that he can put on MMA events. It's not a bad thing. He's a businessman. That's what he's supposed to do. But like when it comes down to it, unfortunately, MMA right now is the UFC in America, and that's about it. And I'm watching the next one. I'll continue to do the videos. But when you see things like Brock Lesnar getting a title shot because he lost to Mir and beat an unranked Heath Herring, and look, I don't even like Machida style. Last night's knockout or 2 nights knockout out, to me it's his first knockout or whatever. He has had TKOs before. But like in the UFC, it's his first knockout. I consider him to be extremely not entertaining. His fight there, he got it done. Kudos to him. But to me, whatever. But even I recognize that with all the other people fighting, he's the title shot guy. If this is a sport, he gets a title shot. But it's sports entertainment. Who's more entertaining? Other guys. So other guys get the title shot. Machida's going to get the title shot by the end of the year, Dana White says. Not going to happen. Rashad Evans is going to fight the winner of Keith Jardine and Rampage Jackson. The betting odds will be greatly in the favor of Rampage Jackson. Rampage Jackson will likely win that fight. If he doesn't, Keith Jardine isn't going to fight Rashad Evans. They're training partners. They're like brothers. It's not like they just got together like, Vanderlei Silva goes and trains with Extreme Couture for a few months. These guys have been training partners. So that fight's never going to happen, period. So it's either Jardine is going to lose and Rampage is going to get a title shot, which I don't have a problem with. It's just that right now there should be a fight set up in like the next 4 months. And it should be Machida first, which is the number 1 contender. And he's the only contender who isn't caught up in a fight in the next few months against the champion Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans, what's he going to do? He's going to sit around until August because he's got to wait for the fight in March, and then they actually have to, set that fight up for later on. Whatever, y'all. MMA, it's important. Peace out.